and welcome back to another fight review. And I seem to be doing a fair few of these at the moment, which is probably a good thing because it means there's lots of events and lots of fights worth talking about. I think they're worth talking about. So last weekend was Robodojo again. Featherweights. I think there was 20 odd teams taking part with over 30 robots across 3 competitions. There was Full Combat, which we had Luna-Tic 2, Sportsman, which had Light Fury and Panda, and the Hobbyweights. I think there was 4 Hobbyweights which took part in a little mini competition. So we took Blue Python. Sportsman fights I've already put up on a playlist. Feel free to check them out. I think the Hobbyweight ones are on there as well. But Luna-Tic 2. This robot is certainly becoming better as time goes on, as I've been tweaking it, little improvements here and there. So it might look a little bit different. I've added these, don't even know what you call them really, stabilising forks, wings, whatever. Never intended to be a permanent addition, but when I've got the forks on, the wheels are fairly exposed, so I thought a bit more protection for these. But again, it's all trial and error. So, first fight was against Conquer 3. And those of you who are not fully aware of combat robotics and all the weight classes, Conquer 3 is a very, very powerful robot. It will hit you very, very hard. It's won a lot of competitions, including the Featherweight Champs. So I was a little bit worried. However, one thing I had noticed is that the Conquer 3 doesn't have like sort of wedge or forks. It is this massive, what we'll call an egg beater, and there's sort of no real sort of guiding plate. So went with the wedge because I knew it would get underneath the spinning aspect and pretty much hope for the best. And it worked really well. The wedge took no damage at all. Controlled the fight, kept the wedge pointed at him the whole time, and there was nothing he could do. Which is one of the aspects of being able to change the fronts to whoever I'm fighting. If I can win that head-to-head fight they're the ones who have to think, oh crap, I've now got to go around the side, and that's a disadvantage to them before the fight starts. So yeah, we worked really well. One of the hits took him upside down, opened the pit, waited for my time to push him in. Job done. From watching the fight, it looks like the perfect fight. There was no obvious damage until the arena marshals went in to disarm the robots. Went to pull my link out, and you may have seen a picture of it already. And there wasn't much of a link left. Well, there was a link, but when Conquer 3 was on top, a lot of these top bolts got, I wouldn't say sheared off, but very damaged, and the link protector thing got to clean off, and he got the loop that was sticking out, and it was only held on, well, we think he may have actually split it, but the wire was that close together, they sort of arced and sort of re-welded themselves back together. I will take any kind of luck. And I've just realised I should have shown you the video before saying that, so I'll show the video now. Surely when you get me talking about robots. Today. What I've just said makes sense. So yeah, when he was on top, obviously he was locking these bolts, and yeah, very lucky, very, very lucky. However, I now will make a better link that doesn't stick at the top of the robot. So, next fight was Elevate. Again, seem to fight Elevate every single event at the moment. The last fight we had, I used the vertical shield thing that worked really well, so I stuck that back on. Again, damage wise, didn't really take much. I did bend them a fair bit, which was to be expected. But after the fight, he said he was having trouble driving again. I think he said his trims was all the way to the left, so that's why he couldn't get out of the corner. And I'm still talking about showing the video. Elevate fight. So as you can see, he couldn't get out the corner. Said something was wrong with the driver's trims or something, so he couldn't get out the corner, which I was more than happy with. But the iffy part was when he was hovering around the pit, I went to push him in, and he kind of moved out the way, and it looked like we went in at the same time, but thankfully other people were filming it, and the footage showed that his wheel went in and came back out again before I nosedive. So again, probably a lucky win. I'll take it. But although no damage, I was starting to get the hang of driving this upside down. One of the first hits flipped me upside down, and I think I'm starting to get the hang of it now. Because when it's inverted forwards, upon the stick which is normally forwards, then becomes backwards. Left and right are still the same, but it's that forward and backwards gets switched. I think I'm trying to get the hang of it now. I know, you can't teach old dogs new tricks, as they say, but yeah, practice. So, 2 wins out of 2. Next fight was Brush Off, which is, I can't really describe what this is, but the guy got a brush, attached it to a metal robot, and yeah, not going to show that fight because wasn't very long. There was a slight, he had drive issues almost immediately, and I drove on the street onto the pit while it was up, and it did the old classic. As soon as I got in the pit, the whole pit just dropped down and failed. By then, the other driver said, "Look, call it. I can't continue because his driver massively failed." So 3 wins out of 3. And next fight was Captain Jack Spinner. Fortunately, I didn't bring my anti-Captain Jack and anti-straddle, the huge-esque type defence setup. So I had to go with the same one I did with Elevate. So attach that on and hope for the best. Video. I won, but, massive but, obviously his wheel fell off, which was made him immobilised. However, I was very much immobilised as well. So the final time he was actually on top, he's chipped away the top panel again. He's dug into the weapon pulley here that's a bit frayed. It still works, which is great. And during the final hit, some soldering's come loose, which looks like is the speed controller to the side of the robot. And he also messed up this tyre. So I was able to just wiggle enough to not be counted out. The vertical face worked okay, but I think it needs a bit of refinement. Because what I reflects the initial hit from his big disc, but after the hit, his whole robot, or straddling that kind of robot, then jump up, which is when they do the natural damage to the top of your robots. So I need to find a way of stopping them to actually getting on top of Luna-Tic. But obviously what a lot of people do is they stick up big sheets of HDPE and blah blah blah, but then if I get flipped upside down, I can't set right. And then I can't even drive. So yeah, think about that one. Anyway, so I was 4 fights winning, won 4 fights out of 4. By now the day had been quite long, and it was about 5:30, possibly even 6 o'clock. The pit was well and truly knackered now because of all the fights throughout the day. We'd had a lipo fire as well. So normally we get 5 fights, we only had the 4. And there was another robot that had gone 4 fights, winning all of theirs, was get shredded. So I had 10 minutes, probably not even that, to get my robot ready for a playoff for first. I know. I was still getting over the fact that I'd beaten Captain Jack, but straight out to the pit table, which we'd already packed away a lot of our tools. Thankfully I had a few people that helped me. Got the attachment off, chucked it in the box, put the forks on, put these back on, changed the wheel, and that was all the time I had. Didn't even realise the soldering had come loose. I've only realised this since I've had it home. And chucked it into the arena, armed it up, went to take our positions, and it just wouldn't move. I think one wheel was working, that was it. And it's like Shrek was fully working. So, yeah, I'll have to call it, because there's no point taking damage for no reason. So a little bit annoyed, but I have to count my stars that I've beaten 3 impressive robots. Nothing against Brush-Off. And coming second in full combat is the highest I've even achieved, and a whisker of, well, I still have to go through Shrek really to come first, but to have that chance doesn't come very often. So what now? Obviously fixed the soldering. Looking at this now, I can see there's an issue with the weapon. Small pulley there. I think I'm going to remake the vertical attachment again, but generally we're not looking too bad. A few bashed bolts here and there. So next event is December. We should be ready to roll. Obviously I've not taken this apart yet. It could be, I could just undo a few bolts and it all just falls apart for all I know. So yeah, we're getting better. However, you may have noticed this will be the last video on my trusted dishwasher, because if I can turn the camera without it falling off, in there is my new workshop, and I will do a separate video of that next week of what I've done and what it's looking like. And but yeah, I have a new workshop. So yeah, end the video here, I suppose. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that technical blur. So see you next time.